Hey folks, this is Mark Devine. Welcome back to the Unbeatable Mind podcast. Thanks so much for joining me today. I don't take it for granted. I know you're super busy, 101,000 distractions coming at you. The fact that you're spending time with us, it means a lot. And so we won't waste it. We've got a really cool guest today. We're going to talk about mental toughness and resiliency and durability and flexibility and staying in the game and preparing for the fight and maybe the spiritual aspect of fitness even. Who knows, right? So we got a lot to talk about. Before I do, let me remind you, you can find this podcast pretty much everywhere now. There's maybe a few places we missed. If so, let us know. But it really helps if you rate the podcast. We have like 500 five-star ratings. So everyone counts because other people find it. Other people interested in this stuff will find it. And there's a podcast popping up like every day nowadays, seems like, right? So go rate it if you like what you're hearing. So, and I really appreciate that. Today, I have Lauren Fisher and Rasmus Andersen.
Correct.
Okay, I did it right. So both top CrossFitters. I remember watching both compete in the CrossFit Games. Many of you know that I competed in the open division in the CrossFit Games. I have a little story about that.
Oh, that sounds like a good story.
Here, I got cheated out of my my bid. It's not a sour grape story. It's just one of those, like, CrossFit's been all over the place, right, with their tech and changing everything, and their systems were pretty shitty that first year. Anyways, I love you, Greg Glassman. I'm not dinging you. So, and they've got a really cool business building, and they're all over the place, going to China. I can't wait to talk, guys. So really, thanks for coming up. We're at SealFit headquarters in Carlsbad, and they made their way up here, barring the traffic. Did you guys live in East Village?
East Village, downtown San Diego.
Downtown San Diego. Okay. Well, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you. We love being on these shows here. It's a lot of fun.
You always do these shows together?
This is actually only our second podcast together.
Really?
Yeah.
We really haven't done that many podcasts,
And
actually
probably my third podcast, his second. So, no, your third.
Yeah, we've done a few.
Starting to get out there, and so you want to, that's cool. It's fun to do things together. It's fun. It's very dynamic. Actually, the second podcast I've done today with 3 people. This is my podcast week. I try to chunk it into like time blocks, right? Some good policy. Otherwise, I'd be doing these all the time, right in the middle of a really busy week. So this week, we're all podcasting, so it's awesome. Lauren, you started CrossFitting like when you were 2 years old, right? Or something like that?
I started CrossFit when I was 13 years old, so I'm 25 now. It's been about 12 years.
God, can you imagine doesn't it seem like it went so fast?
It's pretty crazy. Like, I see, like, there's a 17-year-old girl I train with at my gym, and I'm like, I used to be that girl, and now I'm like 8 years older, and I feel like one of the older ones, even though I'm still young.
You still look about 14, maybe 15.
I'm not sure if I should take that as a compliment or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. That's funny. So you had some early success as I remember reading the youngest CrossFitter to place in the games. Is that right, or something like that?
Yeah, I went to the CrossFit Games as an individual in 2014, and I also went in 2013 on a team, and I was only 19 years old in 2013, and then I was 20 years old in 2014, and I placed 9th in the whole world. So 9th fittest woman on earth.
The 9th, that's
At
awesome claim to fame. How did you find CrossFit? Was someone in your family into it, or?
My 2 older brothers, Ryan and Garrett, were doing it at the time, and so it was back when I used to play basketball, and I kind of wanted an additional strength and conditioning program because I wanted to go on to play in college and then the WNBA, and they told me that there was this really good fitness program I should try with this guy named Vince Carter. So went in one day, and I immediately got hooked and never looked back, and I only went in like 3 times a week just for like the normal class sessions. And now I'm here training twice a day and training as a professional athlete. Yeah.
Full time?
Full time.
Yeah. Okay, well, yeah, I want to talk later more about your training regimen and all that kind of stuff. But Rasmus, you also are a CrossFitter.
Yeah.
And how did you get started?
Well, I guess.
You're from Denmark.
I'm from Denmark, yeah, so it's a little bit same story, but a little different. I started, CrossFit is still such a new thing, right? So like back when we started, it was still like, hey, what is CrossFit even, right? No one really knew about it. So back when I started, it was a friend of mine told me about it. I was quite frankly really out of shape back then, both overweight and also just not develop very well in terms of strength and conditioning and stuff like that. So I did it. I didn't even know what it was called back then. I just did it, and I honestly, I was just hooked right away. Like that feeling of going into the class. It was a group class, but just go in there for an hour and just, in my opinion, get so much stuff done in 1 hour. Be very efficient with your time, and both get like strength and conditioning done in a good way within an hour. Just got me hooked right away.
What year did you get started?
Yeah, so we were back in 2000 and this is back in 2010. Okay. Yeah, and just kind of like developed it since then. It's been a slow road. Just every year, just been like doing a little bit more competition, getting a little bit better, and just to where I'm at now.
And have you competed in the games or regionals or?
Yeah, I was at games in CrossFit Games 2014 on a team. We actually ended up winning.
From Denmark, right?
No, that was actually I moved to San Diego in 2013.
Okay. And
qualified with a team to the CrossFit Games in that 2014 season, and we ended up winning actually for an.
Right on.
Yeah.
Really.
And then 15 on team again. A little bit of a strange season, but I was on a team. Didn't go quite as well. 16 individual, 17 off, and 18 I was the individual again.
Okay.
Yeah.
What year did you start CrossFit? I'm trying to like place my.
2013. So.
2013.
Way back when.
So I went to my first cert in 2006.
Wow.
And it was in Colorado State Police Academy with Glassman and Greg Amundsen, and then I ended up going to like maybe 15 or 16 certs, because we did all the ones for the SEALs down when they did it with the SEALs, until the SEALs basically kicked CrossFit out. That's a whole different story. So and Glassman was at every one of them. We had a blast with him.
That was back in the early days.
He's a good guy. Those early days.
Yeah.
We had a CrossFit affiliate, U.S. CrossFit. We were like number 400 or something like that.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah.
And that lasted until last year, right, Jeff? Or like a year and a half ago. We shut it down. We were right downtown Encinitas. And the city basically wouldn't let us work out outside.
Some zoning and stuff like that.
The noise.
Yeah, I figured.
And also parking was a big issue. We had a really cool compound. It kind of looked like a little mini buds. So it was all enclosed without a roof, but the inside was meant to be a parking lot. We used it for training. And then someone complained about the noise, which is really from our SEAL Fit program, because we would do log PT and make a lot of military sounding noise. Some people in the town didn't like that.
They don't like that, yeah.
And so when the city started coming down and looking at it, they were like, hey, you can't use those parking spots for training. We're like, well, we don't need them for parking. They said, it doesn't matter. So they tried to squeeze us back into our 900 square foot box, and we just said,
couldn't happen, yeah.
We cut it from there.
Yep.
But so I'm a big believer in CrossFit. It's got some hair on it in terms of the way it's evolved. And I think it would be fun to talk about that, because not everyone really sees it from the competitor's perspective. They might see it from the affiliate perspective, or like the older athlete getting hurt perspective. There's all sorts of different ways that people see CrossFit, which I think is fascinating. So as a competitive athlete, what has been like the best parts of CrossFit? What has CrossFit brought to you guys in your life, and how has it changed things for you?
I think CrossFit has brought like so many different aspects to my life. I think one of the biggest things that I'm extremely grateful for is that I get to travel all over the world through CrossFit.
As a competitor? Or?
As a competitor. I don't think I would have been able to travel to so many countries like if I hadn't done CrossFit. And like I just recently competed in Dubai, the Dubai Fitness Championship. We're now going to Asia to compete in China.
These are all independently organized competitions that bring CrossFitters to compete.
Yeah. So.
And do they pay travel, or how do you afford that? What's the financial stuff?
Going to Dubai, I paid that out of my own pocket, but it's pretty good prize money. They pay all the way down to last place. I think it's $1,000. So that basically covers your flight ticket.
Last place gets $1,000?
Yeah, last place gets $1,000. So if you can qualify, and then even out of the qualifier, they pay $500 if you can make it on to the main competition. So already you're $1,500 in to help cover for a flight, hotel, and then it's kind of my own way to figure out how I'm going to make the rest of my money. But they pay out pretty well, so that's how I'm able to pay out travel to Dubai. Asia, we're kind of paying a little bit out of our own pocket. It's really hard these days to find like sponsors to help cover travel expenses. I know a lot of people think that we get a lot of things paid for because we're sponsored, but it's actually a little bit harder than people think. So usually we try to go in it with confidence knowing that we're going to win, because some of the competitions do pay out pretty well.
How many athletes do you guys think are actually making a living from CrossFit? Because I was still pretty immature as a sport.
Right? I was going to follow up with that and be like, CrossFit is still like a sport where like some people now make money off of it, but like it's still in so early stages that like it's unfortunately still a really tough spot to be in, because like you got to spend the time to be in the top of the world. Like if you really want to compete with the best and the best, you got to spend the time as anyone else would do with a full-time job or a full-time athlete in any other sport. But unfortunately, the payouts are just not going very far down the leaderboard, right? It's mainly the top of the top. Either the top of the top that gets paid really well, or if you manage to pull off nowadays a good social following, then you be able to pull off some good sponsorships. But like in terms of a straight number, I don't know what I can say, but like the top 5 definitely get paid okay at the CrossFit Games, but like, and after that it's a little bit of hit and miss between who gets paid well and stuff.
What
like
are
that.
the payouts now at the CrossFit Games? I remember it was like 25 grand when I.
Yeah, it's gone up quite a bit since the 25 grand. Like it's gone up a little bit since then, but no.
First place gets 275 grand, and then, but if you place last at the CrossFit Games, you actually don't make any money. Right. So they only paid a top 20, and I think 20th place gets maybe $1,000. So actually, some of these other competitions are paying pretty well. Like we went to Wadapalooza recently, and they pay $25,000 to the first place winner. So it just depends what competition you choose to go to.
Yeah. But again, like then, like you're saying that, but like obviously with that higher price money, obviously the best athletes again are going to that competition, right? So then you tend to take again like only the top of the top at the CrossFit Games. They typically go to these well-paying competitions and typically win them, right? So then it leaves again like that gap between the best in the world and then the right below them. It's quite a big gap actually.
Is there any activity going on with that initiative, the National Fitness NFPL?
I think unfortunately it died off. I was actually part of that. I was in one of the very first combines.
I knew Tony Budding went from CrossFit, and he was launching a team, or the league actually. I think he was behind the league, wasn't he? That didn't make it, huh?
It was a great concept. I really believed in the concept. I thought it was really fun to actually, in my personal opinion, fun to watch two teams go head to head. And then I think they had some mistakes in the way they did it personally, like in terms of the finance and business model. But other than that, the concept was good.
So, because I haven't been following it, and I don't know how many of our listeners have, what's the format now for the CrossFit Games? So a few years ago, they had regionals, and they had the open and the regionals, and then they took the top 20 from each region.
Yeah,
right? Or no, the top 2. Or
well, it depends. Like it would depend what region you're in, and like they also changed that. So back in the days, it was top 3 from each region. So like there was the open, top 40 qualified from the open to regionals, and then depending on what regionals you go to, some of the places were taking a little bit more people, some of them were taking a little bit less people, and then from there, top 3 would qualify to the CrossFit Games, and then they changed the format to the super regionals, where like they combined the regionals basically, and then had fewer regionals, and then it took top 5 from each regional to go to the CrossFit Games. And then this year, they completely took everything and threw it out.
With the regionals, didn't they?
Say again?
Did they do away with the regionals?
Yeah, so like what they did was they took that regionals and completely threw it out of the window, and like scratched it, and it no longer exists. And then they take the open as like a qualifier for the CrossFit Games. So the winner of each country, I'm assuming they have a registered affiliate in a country, will then go to the CrossFit Games, and then top 20 in the world from the CrossFit Games Open will go straight to the CrossFit Games. And then
interesting.
So yeah, that's.
So what does that mean for you guys? How do you think that's going to affect your guys' stature and being able to go to the game?
They obviously change quite a bit, because then it depends like all of a sudden where you're from. So I have a Danish passport, meaning that I compete against the people in Denmark, even though I live in the US.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It is. A guy from the gym, funny enough, he's actually from Luxembourg. He's from and like there's not that many fit CrossFitter in Luxembourg.
You could do pretty
and
good.
I no offense here, I don't know about
population of 20, right?
So and he's pretty damn fit. So like he ended up being the fittest in Luxembourg. Never really been to the CrossFit Games before, but he actually qualified. So I think they're trying to incentivize people to kind of bring back this, like where CrossFit started was like more of a community thing, and I think they want to bring the CrossFit Games back to that little bit of like, let's have a community rather than just elite of elite. So now it's going to be like more of a community. Maybe I should say also like, so they have the Open, but then there are also these 16 sanctional events, which one of them actually we're going to tomorrow to China to compete as a sanctional event, and the winner of each of these 16 events will actually also qualify for the CrossFit Games.
So they're going to bless external events.
Yep,
as
exactly.
qualifying events.
Yep. So save a little bit of money on
kinda cool.
regionals, and
Right.
then yeah.
That is interesting because I was going to say that as a follow-up that when the games kind of like took off and they started to be a sport of fitness, it was really things started to change quite a bit, because originally it was about the affiliate base and about building community and fitness being a way to bring people together and to have kind of a lifetime of health and fitness. And Coach Glassman is really into lifetime health and fitness. Yeah. But then all of a sudden you had almost like this split of the community, right? To those who are doing the Uber competing,
Exactly.
and trying to go down that road to regionals and
Exactly,
the games,
yeah.
and then everyone else who's just trying to have lifetime fitness.
Yeah.
It almost created two companies, or two, like a sub-brand, and Reebok came in and influenced that.
Yeah.
Are they trying to bring that together, or trying to rectify some of that?
I think we don't really know, to be honest. Like, I think this one of those things where like there's a bunch of rumors going on.
Right?
Yeah, but I mean, why did this happen? I think like rumors are flying around. Like, was it because they want to cut money, like save money, or do they want to just restructure, like bring it back to the community I was talking about? No one really knows the actual reason, I think, behind this. But yeah, like it seems like they just want to bring it more back to the roots of where it started. Bring it back.
But it hasn't affected your motivation to train and to just keep going for it, has it?
I don't think it's affected us too much. I mean, going into the year, though, it's a little bit unknown. Like for us, like usually we compete individually every single year, so we're always so used to peaking kind of at the open, then peaking more at regional, so we qualify for the games. And now this year it's completely different. One of the first sanctional competitions was in.
You got to peak all year long now, right?
It depends, though. You can actually pick and choose which competition you want to peak for, and so our competition was in December in Dubai. We competed on a team, and we kind of just did it for fun. And then our team ended up taking first place for the first sanctional competition. So we were the first team to qualify for the CrossFit Games in December. And so now it's like we don't have to compete until August. So basically you could kind of almost take an off season after December for a little bit and then get back into training. So it has its pros and cons.
Right, I can see that. But you made a statement earlier, Lauren. I mean, this is full time, right? Like when you're training for the games or you want to be an athlete at this level, there's not a whole lot of room for anything else, is there?
No, it's a full-time job. I mean, we train from like 9 to 11 in the morning for one session, and then kind of take a little bit of a break, and then we train again from 1 to 3, and then so 2 sessions a day, and then around games time we're probably up at 3 sessions a day, and that's not even including like warm-up and cool-down. So we probably can spend anywhere from like 4 hours to 6 hours on the extreme end, but then you're almost at like an 8-hour workday, and then on top of that, like we're trying to grow our own business, and then trying to fit time in for like just normal day stuff. There really is no like, we're constantly going every single day.
Yeah, I think what people don't think, like one thing is the time you spend in the gym, right? And it sounds like they go to the gym twice a day or whatever, and then some people think that it's a lot, but some people are like, oh, okay, actually I thought they went to the gym more than that. But like what you got to have to put in a fact as well is like, well, like you're right, we go to the gym twice a day and spend like whatever 4 to 6 hours a day, but then like that really also like everything else takes so much time, like just cooking the right food, making sure you sleep the right time, try not to be stressed so you don't like mess up your cortisol level, just try to be in the right place for everything you do. There's just body work, there's a million things going into it, more than most people think, and that's been one of the extras, to be honest. Like fitting and training is still easy for us, even with like when our business, trying to grow the business, but what has been really hard is getting all the smaller pieces put together, like just get the right amount of sleep, go to sleep exactly the same time, exactly. That's been really hard, and then that's obviously a big factor in terms of like how your performance actually pays out, or
those small details. Exactly. Well, let's talk about training, because this podcast has a pretty broad scope of individuals, and most everyone is fit and training, but not everyone competes at your level, or probably a very small percentage. So can you run me through, both of you, like what does your training plan look like on an average day? I know it's going to change different times of the year, but what does that look like? Because you're not like banging out WODs for 6 hours. There's a lot of skill development, right? And there's a lot of mobility work and myofascial work, probably. I mean, I'm thinking about my own training days, There's just a lot of other things that go on to keep that body developing and also balanced.
I think we go in, so our first session's from 9 to 11, and you go in and probably, well, for me, I spend about 30 minutes warming up. And so I do a lot of like mobility work, just kind of opening up my hips, my shoulders, and then maybe spend about like 10 minutes like just getting some blood flow in. So just some light biking, light rowing, light running, just to kind of feel good and just get my body moving, and then I'll get started with my session.
We have this saying, your warm-up is our workout.
Yeah,
so
basically.
Pretty much everyone's thinking, well, that's my workout.
Yeah, and then so 30 minutes like warming up and then get started. The first session's more cardio based, so usually we don't need too long of a warm-up because we'll do like biking or rowing or running, with maybe some gymnastics skill work built in. So we'll do running intervals and maybe combined with like ring muscle ups or bar muscle ups, just some accessory gymnastics. And then for the afternoon session, we'll spend more time lifting, so just getting the body warm for lifting. So we'll do like back squats or front squats, clean and jerk snatch. So probably do about 2 lifts. So maybe one day we'll do back squats and snatches, and then we'll do a Metcon. So we'll do like maybe something a little bit shorter, because in the morning we spent about probably like 30 minutes or so doing something a little bit longer. And so the afternoon will be like more of a sprint type workout, and then we'll spend time doing
like a 12-minute AMRAP.
Yeah, something like that. And then
Or intervals, I would say.
Yeah, or intervals, like sprint intervals. And then we'll spend maybe like 30 minutes doing accessory work after that. So more like functional bodybuilding type accessories. So dumbbell rows, rehab, just things you probably wouldn't spend time doing on your own.
Right. What about durability work, like foam rolling and stretching, yoga? Do you have time for that? Maybe down days?
I love to stretch after I work out. So maybe when I'm done with the session, we'll spend time stretching. I know Rasmus loves to do a little bit more stretching than I.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like it's kind of sad, but when you run short in time, like what do you prioritize and what can you cut out, right? And that's typically, and it's probably a mistake, right? Like, because a lot of people don't really realize how important it is, but that is sadly one of those things that get cut out first. With that being said, like, we are definitely prioritizing, and then like if we are when we talk about like peaking for the CrossFit Games, we typically on Thursdays we're doing like some either yoga. We actually want to have yoga at our place where we live, so we try to make that yoga class. Love that. Like, love anything that kind of like brings an aspect of training to it, but in a different way. Whether it's yoga,
slows you down, but you're still
exactly.
moving your body.
Yep.
And going deep.
And it actually sometimes it brings really good body awareness to, like, and it gives you also like an idea of like you do stuff that you don't usually do. Like, we tend to get really strong in our core, like our main muscle, core muscles, but like actually in like smaller stabilizer, smaller muscle, we don't really realize that we're sometimes missing out on by doing yoga, Pilates, whatever. Like, they actually kind of sometimes highlighting those things, and you realize you learn from that.
Most people have like a few key things we're really good at, and then a couple things that they suck at.
Mm-hmm.
And you're always working on the things you suck at. So what are the things you guys are good at, and what are the things you suck at? Or you think you suck at, but everyone else probably thinks you're good at?
I hate and I suck at rowing. Like, so we had the half marathon row at Games this past year, and that was the most brutal thing. And like, I did not look forward to that, but like, I knew obviously you needed to be mentally tough going in. Like, you can't think like, oh wow, this is gonna be 2.5 hours on a rower, like I'm gonna suck at this. Like, you have to go in with that mindset, like, yeah, I'm gonna be good at this, like I'm gonna actually do okay. And so, I mean, my favorite isn't rowing. And then what I really love is I love heavy lifting and workout. So I love when we have like heavy cleans, heavy deadlifts. I'm actually one of the smaller girls, so you'd be surprised that I'd say that I love heavy lifting in a workout. But usually when I'm under fatigue and when others are under fatigue, I feel like that's when I lift my best.
You were on the U.S. Team, weren't you?
Yeah, I was on the Junior Team USA for weightlifting. So I was the USAW Junior National Weightlifting Champion back in 2014, and I also went on to compete at Junior Worlds, and I took 10th place overall. So pretty cool things, yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite lift?
Clean and jerk. I love clean and jerk, but snatch is just so technical, and it's almost one of those lifts. It's like one day it can be really good, and then another day it's like, what happened? Like, you can't even lift the same way you used to. And clean and jerk, I just feel like I can always get under a clean and I can always jerk it. So I love clean and jerk.
What's your PR for clean and jerk?
My PR clean and jerk, I actually just PR'd for the first time in 5 years, 243 pounds.
That's
PR by 1 pound.
Oh, yeah.
PR by 1 pound,
you
but I'll
beat
take
me
it.
by a few pounds. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Very cool. How about you? What are you good at? And what do you
Well,
suck
for the guys listening, not watching this, I'm one of the bigger guys. I got a little bit of a weight to me. I'm a 215 to 220 pounds at the moment. So with that, naturally, like I don't like body weight stuff. Burpees, anything that involves me moving my body weight tend to be one of those things that I don't like. But funny enough, it's actually one of those things that I also tend to be good at. Like certain gymnastic movements, for some reason, I actually tend to do pretty well when I actually come up. But yeah, gymnastics, like anything where I move my body weight tend to be one of the things I don't like to do too much. Yeah. And then on the opposite, obviously, I also like some lifting, heavier lifting, whatever. I got the snatch, so I got the opposite of her. Yeah.
And what's your PR for that?
290.
290, that's awesome. Very cool. So let's shift focus to talk about how you fuel yourselves, and because that's a big deal. What is that? Do you guys follow the zone diet or?
So I do macros, so I weigh and measure my food, but again, I like to be really balanced with my diet as well. So on the weekends, I don't weigh and measure my food, but during my training week, I try to eat around 165 grams of protein, 400 grams of carbs, and 65 grams of fat. So that's
and
around.
Tell us what your preferred sources are for those three categories.
My preferred sources are whole, healthy foods. So I love eating like chicken or steak, rice, sweet potatoes. Oatmeal's my go-to in the morning with eggs. Get in fruits, veggies, so whole foods. And I try to stay away from processed sugars and try to stay away from dairy. My body doesn't react to it too well. So yeah.
I mean, personally, I've tried so many different things. Like I always love just trying out things to see what happens. And then also like just being my younger days, I was overweight and just kind of like try to find what worked for me. And I've been like literally all over paleo, so on keto, I've intermittent fasting. I've really tried everything that I could kind of come about. But for me, honestly, macros as well. Like I started working with someone like a few years back, and it sounds silly,
that's just a way of eating.
Yeah, it sounds like what is macros? Like if you ever talk about macros nowadays, but what macros is like macronutrients. Like so basically you get a set amount of numbers for carbs, protein, and fat that you're trying to hit for the day. Well, it's somewhat similar. Yeah, at the end of the day, it actually comes out to something similar. I think the zones, like they're working a little bit more. It really is the same type, because the zones is structured with one block. Right, is a certain amount of
they're talking
protein.
About those three categories and different blocks. And
so it really is very similar. I think the macros just for us, like what we're really focusing on is like just hitting those three numbers by the end of the day, and however you want to hit them. With certain things, keeping that in mind, like that it has to be decent food, obviously, but like you can be a little bit more flexible. You can be like, you can have that ice cream once in a while, but then obviously you're gonna have to cut down on other things, and you just have to be smart. Like so the other day on Easter Sunday, like if we went out to our family for Easter, and we actually had like a cinnamon roll in the morning, and then obviously you know that then the rest of the day you're gonna have to cut back a little bit on the carbs and fat.
Oh, that's cool. So most people would be excited to hear that you can eat cinnamon rolls, but you just have to dial it back in, right?
Yeah.
So it's the quantity and quality.
It is, and I think it's finding the balance, right? Because some people they can work the whole year round and just be super strict, and I think for Lauren and I, we found that we can't do that. We tend to fall off if we try to do it all year round. We just hit a plateau where we just can't keep doing it. So for us, it's finding that balance where in the off season we stay like we finding that good line where we stay healthy and in moderation, and we have quality and quantity, but we do it in a good way where we can keep up with it. And then when we go into the real season, like trying to peak, then we're really trying to step up the game and be more on point with everything.
What's your favorite or go-to resource in terms of like a book or a website or a person for nutritional knowledge to help you design your meal plans and whatnot?
Well, I started working with this girl who's training at the gym with me, and she's actually my training partner and good friend, Jen Ryan, and I think she's a great source for anything nutrition related. She's also a registered nurse, and she has her own nutrition program.
Okay, good.
So she's been a great resource for us to like just reach out and be like, hey, Jen, or she just literally, I'm training with her every single day, and I'll just be like, Jen, hey, I'm feeling a little bit tired. Like, should I up my food a little bit? And she'll tell me exactly what I need to be taking. So she understands as an athlete. how much like we should be eating every single day. So I really enjoy working with her.
Yeah, it's the same for me. Like I think.
What about macro? Is there a book on this subject, or is that a specific diet? You know, like
There is, I'm sure.
is there someone like a Rob Wolf of the macro world?
We haven't really we've always been working with nutritionists, so we've always just been more on one-on-one, like learning from the person for us.
Right.
But for me, like, or for us, like, yeah, I'm just sure there's tons of thousands of book out there. But what I really want to say about the macros, I always want to add to it is like that for me, like I've tried all these different meal plans. I won't call them diets, but like I tried all these different things, and for me, like counting my food actually what taught me the most. Like you learn so much from trying to start weighing your food and looking at labels. I think people will be surprised how much typically fat do you find in certain foods that you didn't really know. And then if you're saying like I'm eating around 90 grams of fat a day, if you find something that has like 10-15 grams of fat in just from like one serving, and you typically eat a few of those servings a day, then like it adds up really quick. So for me, like the macros, trying to count my food really just taught me a bunch that I didn't really know before, and brought awareness to a bunch of food.
Right.
Yeah, really cool.
What get measures progresses, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You can improve it.
Yep.
So that's really cool. And sleep, how's that working out for you?
We try to get around 8 to 9 hours of sleep every night. I think anything under 8 hours, I just don't feel good with my training. I guess I kind of get a little mental with things, and if I don't get under 8 hours, then I'm just like, I'm tired today. And I think it's more of a mental thing. But I think 9 hours is like the golden time.
Exertion you guys are putting on your body,
Yeah,
you got to have that recovery
it's
time.
quite noticeable actually. Actually, what's really interesting, we don't have it on right now. We had a Whoop watch. They have this watch where you put on like around the wrist, and it tracks like how well you recover basically. And it was actually interesting. Without looking at that watch, when you sleep only 7 hours or whatever, I'm saying that only, but for a lot of people, 7 hours is actually quite a bit probably. But for us, like if we only sleep 7 hours, we could kind of tell that just when we wake up that hey, like I'm not feeling recovered. And then when you look at that Whoop watch and actually saw it, it gave you a very low number saying that you haven't really recovered.
Does it track the sleep cycles?
It does
show you which cycle you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, check that out. Whoop watch. Is it WHOOP?
Yep. Whoop watch.
Like
Yeah.
whoop whoop.
Not associated
I've
with
got
anything.
the Phoenix Garmin. I don't think it has that kind of fidelity.
That's specifically what it's made for. It's lacking in other things like in terms of showing like time and stuff like that. But it's just a really good. No, it doesn't. Like it's a Whoop watch, but it has no like clock. It doesn't even have a clock on it. It is kind of funny. No, it's a great thing though. I really liked it when we used it.
Okay. What about? So what's your training cycle during a week? Right, like CrossFit is 3 on, 1 off, 3 on, 1 off. Do you follow that, or do you train every single day?
I don't think we would be able to sustain the level of training if we trained every single day. But we train 3 days a week, so Monday through Wednesday, and then Thursday is more like an active recovery day. So I like to go swimming in the pool just because I need to work on my swimming. So I swim for about an hour, and then Friday, Saturday, 2 days on, and then Sunday's a full rest day. And then we catch up like on anything we need to do before the start of the week.
I think again, it's one of those things that like a little misunderstood, that like people see Rich Froning and Matt Fraser, and there are certain people in this world that can work out almost every single day, and even that is probably like nowadays with social media, like it really get a screwed picture of what like they might actually be doing, right? Like people think, wow, here they work out like literally.
They might be doing a little skill development on a down day.
Yeah, right? and I think people don't really realize that. I think that the volume in CrossFit has just like completely gone out of the roof. Like people train way too much, like rather than actually looking at like, hey, how can we improve? We just talk about nutrition and sleep. I think a lot of people just like don't even worry about that. All they care about is like volume and training, and like with higher volume, the intensity pretty much always tend to go down. So in my opinion, you want to find a balance where you get like, can you keep that high, sustain the high intensity you want, the good quality, still focus on other things in your life like sleep and nutrition and recovery and everything, and then obviously get good volume in, but like not in crazy high amount. Like quality over quantity sometimes when it comes to that.
Right. What does CrossFit do, or some of these competitions do, to screen out substance abuse, like steroids and whatnot? Because it's definitely happened in the past. I mean, I've observed a few people change too dramatically, too quickly in their bodies, you know?
We get drug tested at or the podium gets drug tested at every competition
Is
now.
that right now? Okay, good.
So top 3, or depending top 5, get drug tested at the end of the competition, and then they also do random drug testing as well. I know one time, 2 years ago, I went to Wadapalooza to compete individually by myself, and then CrossFit drug testing texted me and were like, "Hey, we're here in Miami. We're gonna drug test you tomorrow morning." So they randomly do drug test us all the time. So I really do think they're trying to make an effort.
Yeah, I mean, we fill out whereabouts, right?
Yeah.
So like we have quarterly whereabouts where we're going to be for the next whatever 3 months. So there's that. Lauren was saying the sanctional events. Typically, all the sanctional events, as I know at least, they're testing the winners who's going to qualify for the CrossFit Games, and then obviously at the CrossFit Games there's random testing as well, as the podium and everything. So they're definitely stepping up the game. Could it get better? Yeah, it probably could, and it probably will. I think it's slowly getting there, but. It's like any other sport. It's like there's the money involved. So like as you were saying, like you'll see it, and you probably still see it. Like it's just they catch people once in a while. Like every single year at the CrossFit Games, they catch a few people, masters and individuals and stuff like that. So it happens, yeah.
Interesting. Let's shift focus and talk about the mental side. Do you guys have any specific training or practices for the mental game? Excuse me.
Funny enough, I actually used to work with a mental coach, and he actually used to work with Tiger Woods back in the day, like when Tiger was really young. And so I would go to his home, and then we would kind of just talk about my training, and we would do visualization. So I would tell him about my competition coming up, and then basically he would help me visualize for whatever competition, like whatever any type of training was going to be coming up, like I was prepared. And so I kind of took that away from him. I moved to Dubai with him last year, and then we moved back to San Diego, but I wasn't able to do that anymore. So the lessons I learned, I know how to like mentally prepare myself before a competition, and I think visualization is so underrated, and is one of the biggest things that I use. And so I love just like preparing myself mentally, because I feel like almost any workout is 80% mental and 20% physical. Like, how are you going to push yourself into that dark place? And I think just a lot of like positive imagery and just kind of visualizing yourself doing the best that you can. So that's what I like doing.
So what would your like what I would call your pre-event ritual, like when you're getting ready half an hour before the event starts, what does that look like for you?
I love to put my headphones on, and usually I'll listen to one of my old visualizations, and I'll kind of just lay down for 10 minutes with my headphones on and listen to this visualization, and just kind of imagine myself like being in my own little bubble, not like worrying about anyone else, and just kind of seeing myself going through the steps of each workout. So if it had like rowing, handstand push-ups and pull-ups, then I would imagine myself like, what pace am I going to hold on the rower? Then like, how am I going to break up my pull-ups? So kind of just like...
So would that be like first person perspective? You're seeing yourself on the rower looking at the...
I would see myself, it would be first person. It would be first person perspective. So seeing myself or looking at the rower, is that... Yeah.
Yeah, well, the second person would be like looking at the rower and there's Lauren rowing.
Yeah.
That's one way to do it. The other is I'm on the rower and I'm looking at the display.
Yeah, so I would be imagining that I'm on the
You're
rower,
on the rower. Okay, good.
doing it, and like I'm doing the pull-ups, just imagining how it's feeling, like how I'm going to be breathing during the workout. Like if maybe I might even imagine myself straying off a little bit, looking at someone else and like pulling myself back into that workout. So that's something maybe I do like just for 10 minutes, just kind of visualizing exactly how I want to approach the workout. And then after that, I'll put my favorite tunes on Spotify playlists, and then I'll just kind of get myself pumped up and start like warming up and doing all my mobility and activation drills, and then whatever the workout may be, I'll prepare myself for those movements, and then go.
Okay, so when you hear 3, 2, 1, go, what's going through your mind?
I get like, people think that we don't get nervous anymore, but I still get nervous. Like that 3, 2, 1, go, like your heart's just like
it's
pounding.
Just a real spike, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just like a real spike of adrenaline. But as soon as like 3, 2, 1, go, it's just like it's all released and you just can go and not worry about anything else. But right before a workout, like usually I'm getting nervous and just thinking like calm my heart rate, like calm my breathing, because I really don't want to be like hyperventilating right before a workout. So I think one of the biggest things is I'm trying to just calm myself down and just breathe and stay focused like in my own lane.
Do you have a breath practice that you work on every day, or just...
No, I wish that I had that's one of the things I want to start getting into is breath practice. I know that can be so huge, and again, another underrated aspect of training that we don't necessarily do so often. So that's one of the things I want to start doing is learning more about breath work and how I can incorporate that into my training.
That's a big part of our training for the Spec Ops candidates. Breath and visualization, and also what we call mental control, internal dialogue work.
Yeah.
And also attention control, like being able to keep bringing your focus back, which sounds like you're pretty good at. I think most CrossFitters are good at, because you really have to be so radically focused on that one movement, because you're moving load fast, and it's dangerous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And people get hurt when they lose focus. How about you, Rasmus, in terms of your mental game?
First off, I want to say I think it's really interesting to actually talk about that, especially as a CrossFitter, because I think CrossFit, like Lauren was saying, like 80-20, right? I really believe that CrossFit is much more than your physical capabilities. Like what can, like how fit are you? Yeah, that's important when you train with your bodies, like, and you tend to like, oh, they beat you on this.
But everyone's at elite level eventually in this sport.
And I really think that it really comes down to, a lot of times, it's really how well you can, how tough are you? I'm not really sure if that's the next set, the right word. It's like how well are you actually able to push and actually tap into like what you're actually capable of, because most people are way more capable of doing a lot more than they usually do. It's just a matter of how do we tap into that next level, how do we do that, and how do we tap into the brain and allow ourselves to actually push past what we think we're capable of. So I think it's really interesting to talk about, and I think CrossFit is one of the few sports that really does that well, or practice that really well, because you kind of have to, and that's how you become like one of the best in the world, is by being able to really, obviously being physical fit, but also being able to really push yourself and take that next step.
I would have to agree. I mean, most people, not all, but most people come through our 50-hour Kokoro camp, our CrossFitters who really are looking for the mental skills and the emotional skills, so that they can keep competing and stay in the game over the long haul. Yeah. And that's kind of the juice that we teach. That's our expertise.
Super interesting, but it's also one of those things that's really hard to teach, and really hard to like. Studies have done on this, but like it's really hard to actually read about studies on this, because like it's not really. How do you see like let's just take a visualize like.
Yeah, it's difficult to track.
It's really exactly right, and it's one of those things. It's really hard to even practice, and a lot of people might be skeptical of it, but like in my personal opinion, like just talk about visualization. Like I've done that personally since I used to do motorsport when I was younger. So for me, like visualization started at a very young age, and I've been doing that like literally like every single night before the race, and I still do that, and I think it's very powerful. And just to talk a little more about that, for me personally, like I start my pre-competition, I start that a few days prior to the actual competition. I tend to have a really busy life at the moment, but when we have a competition like coming up actually this weekend in China, I will probably Wednesday, I will be like just trying to put everything aside. I have done all my work for the following week, I put it aside and to completely try to finally like we're talking about breathing, take some deep breath and just enjoy life again. And just, it sounds like it's a bad thing, but like
throttle back the training.
Yeah,
you've done the training, now it's time to just relax.
Exactly. So I try to do that. I started then visualizing. I always visualize events.
Do you always have the workouts these days? Because I remember in the old day, they didn't, like at the CrossFit Games, they don't reveal the workouts.
No.
So when you're visualizing a workout that you don't know, are you just guessing? Or are you just visualizing all the different skills?
You obviously can't visualize something that if you don't know what it's going to be, right? So like, so for CrossFit Games, like I would say half an event is going to be like known ahead of time, or like at least 1/3 is going to be ahead of time, and then the rest of them are going to be like typically the day before. So like, just take the example of China. Now we know we have 6 events in this coming weekend, and we know 4 of them by now. So 2 of them are still unknown, and I'm assuming those are going to be released over the next few days.
Okay, interesting. What about your wake-up routine and your go-to-bed routine, morning and evening rituals? What do they look like? Do you have a established ritual?
Lauren's the strict one here.
I think lately it's been really hard for us to get into like a morning and night routine, just because we've been traveling so much lately. Like it throws things so off, and I'm always just like, I want to get back into our routine. Like I want to do this every single night. I want to do this every single morning. But since we just got back from Mexico for a fitness retreat, and then I was in Las Vegas for a best friend's bachelorette, and now we're going to China, and then he has Rogue Invitational after that. So it's just been like one thing after the next. So it's been really hard for us to dial into that routine routine, but like when I'm actually getting into my morning and night routine, like I love to get up at 7 a.m. and I love to just wake up, and I write in a gratitude journal. So I like to just write everything that I'm grateful for the day. And then I start making breakfast. So usually I'm the one making breakfast, and then maybe he's the one sleeping a little bit more. But then I make my same like eggs and oatmeal every single morning right before training. It doesn't really change much except maybe the veggies or the fruit that I add in to my oatmeal. And coffee. I don't drink coffee, so I drink green tea. I've just never really gotten into the taste of coffee, and I know all the coffee drinkers are like, you're crazy, but I don't know, I've just never really felt the need to drink coffee, and I really love tea, so I drink green tea in the morning, and just kind of eat my breakfast and just relax a little bit before training, maybe catch up on a few emails and work-related things, and then we'll head over to training at 9 a.m. and then start my warm-up and start my day from there. And then, I don't know, Ras, if you want to go over your morning.
No, I mean, this is obviously somewhat similar. I think we tried, like, if we talk a little bit more the night routine as well, like, we try to, in an ideal world, and we are trying, it's just not always accomplishing this, but we're trying to, like, cut off, like, TV and phones a little bit earlier, blue blocker glasses, and there's one of these things, actually something we dived into a little bit more lately, but, like, trying to get, like, away from harsh light, like, the white light.
Yeah, black out your room. Do you try to really sanitize your room from lights and electronics?
And,
That's smart, yeah.
Diving even further, we're trying to really go into the EMF radiation like thing now and try to cut down on that. Not just for being an athlete in terms of that, but also like just for health in general. We're trying to do that, and I think health and being an athlete obviously go hand in hand. So trying to do that, and so basically, yeah, trying to get away from the phone and computers and TVs and more of that like blue white light. We're trying to get away from that and just more of a nicer orange or yellow light at night. And we try and do that by 7 o'clock. Try to see if we can switch over that, and then like hopefully by 9 or something turn all electric devices off, so to speak, and then try to be in bed by 10 would be great. Like if you're usually trying to make, that's kind of like where we want to be sleeping by 10 and then wake up by 7.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I had a question in my mind and it's danced out. Do you guys drink any alcohol ever? Like enjoy a glass of wine together or something like that?
We do drink alcohol every now and then, but we're not crazy alcohol drinkers, like where we just like crave that.
You don't do the paleo martini or
no, like
or
we
paleo
don't
margarita.
crave like a cocktail or anything. But it is nice every now and then when we go out with friends to like enjoy a glass of wine or margarita.
I just wanted to see how much of a purist you were. I like that. That's good.
We'll talk about the benefit of being two athletes living together, right? Because like if you would live with someone else, you'd probably fall into the category where you once in a while would do that, and it wouldn't hurt either. It's just that for us, like I don't personally drink beers, and like I've never really gone in. We've had a little bit of a different upbringing probably than most people in terms of like going out to party and all that stuff. So like for me, like and for Lauren as well, we just never really had that in our. We've never really done that, and for us, it's just not really something that we need to do. I feel like we need to have a drink of anything. But with that being said, like whenever we go out, if we do go out for a nice dinner, we'll definitely have a glass of wine. But that's pretty much it, right? And then obviously there is, like Lauren was talking about the bachelorette party the other week, there's like going to be once or twice a year.
Once in a while.
Yeah, there's going to be once or twice a year where like whatever it might be that you go out to like something where alcohol is going to be served.
So your business is GrownStrong, and it sounds like, Lauren, you have a passion for helping other women find their strength. So tell us about the business. How did you start it? Why did you start it? Where are you going with it?
I actually started GrownStrong about 5 years ago. I originally started it just because I wanted to come out with a Lauren Fisher t-shirt for regionals to kind of help support money for my own road to regionals. And at the moment I was like, Lauren Fisher isn't going to be an everlasting brand. Like it's only going to be a one-time thing. And I felt like GrownStrong really stuck to me because I grew up with 3 older brothers and everything constantly in the household was always super competitive and they were pushing me around and nothing was ever easy. I always like to tell a story like back in the day, I was playing basketball with my brothers outside and my brothers pushed me into the bushes. I was like 8 years old and like I was with a group of boys and like I went inside to my mom and I started crying and I was like, Mom, they pushed me between the bushes. And she was like, well, you either need to stop crying and you can go out there and play with the boys, or you can stay in here and continue crying with me. And so I decided to wipe off my tears, and I went out with my brothers and started playing again. And I feel like just those moments really helped me become GrownStrong. And so that's why I've created this brand, is I want to help empower other women to be GrownStrong as well. And it doesn't necessarily have to be any obstacles they're going through in the gym. Like, it can be obstacles they're struggling with in their daily life. And so right now I sell apparel through GrownStrong, but we're currently about to launch a fitness program targeted towards women. I feel like nowadays there's so much going on with like just everyone needs to have a bigger butt or like better abs, and I feel like I really want to target women that they can be strong and confident and healthy in their bodies. And so with GrownStrong, that's going to really help them in all aspects of life. So we're really excited about the future, and like we have all
you're
these
helping out with the business,
yeah.
Rasmus?
Yeah, I'm doing all the work, and she's just collecting everything, all the fame right now.
Nice.
No, it's definitely like a passion both of us have. For me, like we've obviously been doing CrossFit for a while now, and that's been our main thing. Legally, I'm not allowed to work in the U.S. And like for
you
me,
are or you're not?
No, I'm not. I'm not, because I'm I'm still a Danish citizen and stuff like that. But with that being said, being an athlete has been.
There's a way to solve that, by the way.
There is a way to solve that. That might be another podcast. But no, so like it's we haven't had time to do any work, to be honest. Like, it's not that I've been wanted to have a work, and I haven't needed anyway. And then this GrownStrong just seemed to be a passion of, like, I've been wanting to influence life as well. Whether it's like through one-on-one coaching, I've done that in the past, and that's fine. But I really want to take that to a different scale. I would really like to do that in a much bigger way. And the way for me to do that is through like something like this, where I can do something like, let's say, online fitness program and help multiple, hopefully thousands of people, right? And down the road, definitely want to open up some, like, not CrossFit gyms necessarily, but like some kind of like a fitness gym, and maybe start franchising, whatever it may be, but really start impacting more lives in a way that's been helping me. Like, whatever, like fitness has done so many things for me, it would be awesome to kind of do that for other people. Yeah.
So you're going to launch it'll be an online fitness program where you provide coaching, or will it, what's the structure going to look like to you so far?
Well, we'll offer 3 different programs. It'll be beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And so basically the beginner program will be basic body weight program anyone can do anywhere in the world. You don't need any equipment at all. And then the more intermediate program will just be basic equipment, maybe dumbbells, jump rope, pull-up bar. So you don't really need much, again, to train in. It'll be 30 minutes. You can do anywhere in the world. And then our 90-minute program will be something a little bit more advanced, and taking those classes, the kind of the functional fitness CrossFit classes, one step further, but also like making it like targeted towards health and longevity. So we really want to build like a proper strength and conditioning program and get 90 minutes. You can get your lifting in, your conditioning, and get some accessory work as well. So we'll have those 3 different levels. And so basically you can choose what tier you're at, and you can do it anywhere in the world.
Yeah, it's important that we're not trying to make that an elite level fitness program. A lot of people are trying to do those nowadays.
For a much broader audience.
Yeah, it's because that's really not what we want. We're not like, maybe we could have done that, but that's not really what we don't want to try to make that. We really want to try to help people who are at a place where we were at.
Are you targeting athletic women or just all women?
Targeting
young women?
More so like we don't really put like an age limit on this. We don't really say like, hey, like you like this is 30 to like 40 or whatever. Like it's gonna be way more of a, obviously we dabbing into like a place where like the launch followers are into fitness, so it's gonna be people who are into fitness, but really like it's gonna be a lot more just like in terms of like marketing. It's gonna be like just people who want to like feel a part of a community that they might not be feeling a part of before. Just take like Lauren as an example again, growing up as a basketball, like maybe a basketball girl, like a little bit like nowadays a little bit bigger muscles and a little bit outside of the quote unquote norm, what people consider like a pretty girl maybe. And like, I just think it's been a really skewed picture of what, like, I think a few years back, and I think it's changing now, but a few years back it was like, how skinny could you be, and the more skinny you were, the prettier you were, like the more of a female you were. And I think that has changed. So the message is that
strong is beautiful, basically,
without saying those exact words, but that is basically what it is, trying to say that we are now in a decade where health is more prioritized than being skinny. And with being healthy, it doesn't mean you are being skinny. It's gonna mean,
it's some of the the unhealthy, or that's not the right word, most unhealthy women I've seen are like models.
Yeah.
And they look great in a picture, which is airbrush, but you get up close, you're like, oh my gosh.
And they're
have you
miserable
eaten
puppets.
anything this month?
And that's the thing, right? Like, and we really want to change that. We want to be like finding a life that's happy, healthy, and with that, it also comes a good body. Like a good body is not skinny in my opinion. I think the perspective on what a beautiful woman is nowadays is really changing and going more aligned.
CrossFit has done a remarkable job in just changing the paradigm of what health and fitness looks like. I mean, at the elite level, like the body types that have come out of CrossFit, I've never seen it before.
Yeah.
Like very rarely do you see a body type like that and you're just like, what?
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting. And the human body, like you both know that you're capable of so much more.
Exactly.
But you got to prove it to yourself experientially to really get it. And then once you get it, you never go back.
And I think that's one of the things that we want to show, that it's not just guys that can be muscular and lifting heavy weights. Like girls can do it too and still be feminine. It's not like if you're doing that, then all of a sudden you're gonna have like a baseball cap and long shorts. Right?
There's I was a SEAL for 20 years, and there's a lot of controversy around letting women into the SEAL teams and blah blah blah. But it's coming. Mm-hmm. When I heard that, like I instantly knew that there'll be women in the SEALs because of CrossFit, right? Because I've seen what the women can do in CrossFit, and I've seen so many women come through our 50-hour Kokoro camp, which is a Hell Week simulation. It's as hard as Hell Week, it's just shorter, and just crush it. Yeah. Like just do far better than the guys as a general rule. And I'm like, there's definitely going to be women in the SEALs. The only reason there haven't been so far is because they just opened the door, and it takes years to prepare for something like that. And so you're going to see maybe in the next 3 or 4 years the first women.
And I agree with that. In my opinion, that's exactly what's going to happen. And that's kind of
maybe,
what we want to help
maybe
with.
Lauren will be the first name.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
28's the cutoff.
Yeah.
Get your application in.
I mean, that would be an honor to be a part of that.
It's a pretty extraordinary group.
Yeah, it is.
So, GrownStrong, what a great brand. It reminds me of Livestrong, which is Armstrong's thing.
A little bit, yeah.
GROWN,
Yes.
strong.com,
Yes.
www, GrownStrong. So right now, it's your fitness brand or your clothing, right? Your apparel, and then motivation and social media type stuff.
Yeah, right now the brand just lives mainly through the apparel, just building brand awareness, but also motivation on the Instagram and Facebook channel. So I try to provide inspirational quotes on there, and just like topics that not necessarily would be covered on other social media channels. I think one of the biggest things actually was something I posted the other day. Someone made a comment to me. They're like, "Why don't you have a flat belly no matter like how many hours you train? Like you train so much, but you still don't have abs?" And I brought up this topic, like, it doesn't matter how many hours you train in the gym. Like I'm eating to perform, so I'm here to fuel my body. I'm not here to like look good in a picture, so I might not have abs all the time.
And you're not cutting weight for a fitness competition
yeah,
either,
and I'm
right?
not cutting weight for a fitness competition. So that's like something I really want to like help target with GrownStrong, is like really to empower those women who feel a little bit out of the ordinary. So maybe someone who used to swim back in the day and they have bigger shoulders, and a lot of those girls like maybe make fun of her, just kind of, she doesn't feel like she fits in. And so with GrownStrong, like there's a community of women who are all feeling like they can be strong and empowered and confident and happy. And so with this fitness program we're going to be launching, like we really hope we can help with that.
That's awesome. I love that. And how big is your following? I imagine you have some social media following.
So on my own following, I have over 1 million followers, but on GrownStrong we have around 25,000 followers, so it's growing slowly. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, it's also like for us, it's like it's a business, right? But like there's not really like, for us, it's our business is being an athlete right now. So for us, GrownStrong is more of a side project that we really want to grow and really help people. It's not to make a quick buck here. No, it's obviously, with the bat being said, like obviously long term is that obviously we're going to develop a big brand and a big business eventually. But right now, like we really just want to create something that has value. We're not trying to make a quick buck because we don't need that right now. It's not what we're looking for. We're really just trying to figure out like what do people need, and it's been taking us quite a while to kind of like find exactly where we're going with this. It's always been like around that area, but it's been a little grayish.
Business is tough, isn't it?
Oh man, it's a completely different game. But yeah, we finally found that, and we finally.
If it was easy, everyone would do it.
That's what to say about a lot of things, but yeah, you're right. That's exactly what it is.
How long do you guys think you'll be competing?
I'm going to keep competing as long as I love doing this. So I'm only 25, so I'm still really young in the sport. I know women these days don't peak until they hit like 31, 32. So I think I still have a long time to compete. But honestly, it just depends. Like, do I love competing? Like, am I having fun doing it? Because if I'm not having fun, then I'm not going to do it. But I see myself still competing for years to come. It just really depends what's going on with all these changes with the CrossFit Games. So we'll kind of see how that plays out this year and then kind of make a game plan for the following season. But just taking it 1 year at a time.
If CrossFit blew up, is there any fallback to compete for this type of fitness competing?
I mean, I always said that I would love to compete in weightlifting. Like, I would love to try to qualify for the Olympics, or even just the Team USA at Worlds. And so I think that would be such a huge honor if I could do that. And
You
so
can't do both simultaneously?
I think now it's so much harder to compete in both CrossFit and weightlifting. Like, back in the day, I could get away with it, but nowadays, like, the weightlifters are just doing weightlifting and the CrossFitters are just doing CrossFit. Like, you can't be a CrossFitter who's trying to go in weightlifting and still like running a 10K and doing all these things that are kind of hindering your ability to lift heavy weight. So I really think you have to pick one or the other nowadays. You can't do both. So if CrossFit somehow hit the bed, then I would love to get into weightlifting.
Mm-hmm. Great. How about you?
I don't know. Like, that's a good question. Like, first off, like, how long did I compete? Like, I think it's the same line. Like, as long as it's finding fun. For me, training tend to get to a point now where I don't enjoy it as much anymore, but what I really do enjoy is the competing aspect of it. I love just that feeling when you are competing and it goes well. Like, that feeling afterwards is something that I just never experienced anywhere else in my life, and I love that, and I want to keep doing that for a while. And that might not have to be the biggest scene in the world in the CrossFit Games. It could probably be like another sport that would give me some kind of the same reward of like, hey, if you've done well, you did the best you could and it turned out well. That feeling is just, for me, absolutely amazing. So like I'll keep doing this for as long as as long as I find it fun, and even after that, like, I'll still do CrossFit because I think it's a great training, but I'll definitely cut down the volume and get to a healthy volume and just kind of do it more for the sake of health. And then probably find another sport, but not to compete at the highest level, just stay active and have fun with it, maybe.
Awesome. So you're heading to China. You got a big competition this weekend. Good luck.
Thank you.
Crush it. I know you will. You're feeling ready?
Yeah, I'm excited. I think we have some last minute packing to do today, but I think we're ready to go. Yeah.
That flight is going to be brutal.
You're
getting there. Do you lose a day or
15
gain
hours ahead?
15 ahead.
We lose quite a bit, I think.
So you're going to get there on tomorrow's Tuesday. You get there on Wednesday.
We leave Tuesday and get there Wednesday at 4:30. So we leave tomorrow at 8 a.m.
And when does it start?
And the competition starts on Saturday.
Okay, so you got a couple days to get your body's back and your mind's back in order.
Yeah,
exactly.
Awesome. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
And if there's anything we can do to support you, right, we will reach out.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, it's been great. Really
thank
enjoyed talking
you.
to both of you.
It's always fun to learn a little bit about other people's world as well. It's very interesting.
Well, we'll definitely promote GrownStrong, and in this podcast, I don't know when it'll come out, probably in a couple of months or a month. Yeah, it's not going to be like next week.
Okay.
We kind of like
schedule ahead of time.
We put them in the bank and then they come out. So I can't tell you when it'll come out, but when it does come out, Allison will let you guys know, and we'll push it out in social and do all that kind of stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And we're right up the road from you, Kokoro Camp, when you're ready to.
Hey man, we talked about that. We need to do that. I think that's on our bucket list.
Most competitive athletes struggle, just because of the volume of work, both to prepare and then to do the Kokoro Camp it's pretty intense. So it wouldn't be something you do necessarily when you're peaking for.
No, we talked about that last time. I think we
do have an event though in I think September or October.
Yeah, that's actually that's a good time for us to do it.
Or when you're starting to throttle down and get into something else.
Yeah, maybe. It's on our list. Let's just say it like that. We'll definitely make it happen at some point.
That would be cool.
Because it sounds
fun. You would enjoy it. It's life changing.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you again.
Really nice to meet you in person.
Thank you, Mark. It was nice meeting you. Yeah, absolutely.
Look forward to tracking your careers.
It was. Well, thank you. It's been great fun.
Yeah. All right, folks. Thanks for joining us today. Let's root for Lauren and Rasmus and hope they kick ass and take names in China and CrossFit Games this year. It's going to be fun. Fun to meet you guys. And for you, train hard, Stay disciplined, stay focused, relax, have fun.
Exactly.
Dial in your nutrition and sleep. That's so critical. And visualize your game. In the SEALs, we call it dirt diving. Dirt dive your game. It really makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Big time. Thanks for paying attention on Unbeatable Mind. We'll see you next time. Hoo-yah. Divine out. Hey, this is Mark Divine. Thanks very much for watching the Unbeatable Mind podcast on YouTube. You can also find the podcast at iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, and unbeatablemind.com/podcast. Be sure to check out the new episode released every week. Hoo-yah.